Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. Today we are talking Ford Mustang GTD versus Porsche GT3 RS. This is a really hard question for all of us who are in the market to buy a new track car that is around $200,000 to $300,000. It gets really interesting because can this new Ford Mustang compete with the ultimate Porsche 911 ever made on the latest generation platform, a car that put down a 6-minute and 49-second lap time on the Nürburgring, 8 seconds faster than the 880 horsepower 918 hypercar from Porsche. It is a big feat. It's a big feat. Can Ford do it? Today we're going to break down both these cars to find out which one should you really buy, because when you look at all the technical specifications, the details of these new cars, and from what we know driving the GT3 RS, this is going to be a unique perspective I think people need to consider. Let's get straight into it in this video. Now, when you look at the new Ford Mustang GTD, the hype is real. I definitely know that. I also personally put in my inquiry to apply to get this new car. I can't wait to see what it's going to be like. I have been asked, well, Austin, what do you think between this new $300,000 Ford Mustang and then the current GT3 RS from Porsche? The aerodynamics from their racing series and classes have been implemented onto a street car. The new GT3 RS is the closest street Porsche ever to an actual race car. Mustang GTD came out after the GT3 RS, so maybe they got some ideas from their friends over in Germany versus America. The deal is this. The GT3 RS shares many of the same features as this new GTD. I'm talking about a massive rear spoiler that is underhanging and is raised higher than the roofline of the vehicle itself. DRS, drag reduction system technology, to reduce all the drag you would get on a straightaway, but then also give you the impacts and the positive effects of downforce in the corners. Then carbon fiber bodywork to lower the weight of a vehicle, in essence, to make it more nimble on the racetrack and have tires last longer. Hopefully, when it comes to testing, that is. The list just keeps going on when it comes to the suspension being optimized for the racetrack. Also, massive carbon ceramic rotors with their greatest caliper systems yet. Finally, price point, they're pretty close to each other. The interesting part about it is that this Porsche is less money than the Ford, which is something that you would never expect to hear, because Mustang has been the affordable everyman performance car, sports car. Now Ford wants to go into this supercar territory, and they have specific sites aimed at the German manufacturers like AMG and Porsche. I think even the CEO, Jim Farley, mentioned this during the reveal I actually went to in Monterey. He specifically called out the German brands. They didn't mention anything about the Italians or the British brands, but hey, all these cars exist in the same niche bubble of unique, bespoke performance cars that are hard to obtain, yet they are still the dream to obtain. The GT3 RS starts at $240,000 versus $300,000 for the Mustang GTD, and we haven't heard anything back yet. Well, Ford hasn't announced yet how the options and pricing will be for selected features on this new car. Starting prices, as they say, a starting price, and there's always room from brands to make more profits out of offering more things that customers can spec out to customize their cars. I'm curious, how much will a maxed out Mustang GTD cost? Will it get close to $400,000? Will they make Heritage Edition variants that give you like Heritage color combos from Ford? I don't know. We do know regarding Porsche that you can option a GT3 RS to $300,000. It still seems like that Porsche will be less expensive than the Ford. Let me know. I'm very curious. What are your thoughts on the whole pricing strategy that you have with both these manufacturers? Should this Mustang cost more than the GT3 RS? It's got more power, 800 horsepower with a supercharged V8. It's got race-derived suspension from Multimatic, originally developed off the Ford GT Mark IV race car, their adaptive spool valve system. It's even a step above the standard production car. What standard? I mean the $500,000 Ford GT Multimatic suspension. From what I hear, this Multimatic spool valve suspension that they've created is the best they've done yet for a production car working with Ford. That's a good bragging right, if you ask me, if you buy this new GTD. First, let's talk about the GT3 RS. You do have tons of active aerodynamics baked into the platform of the car. For example, again, that spoiler out back is raised higher than the roofline of the vehicle, and it has DRS technology baked in. You do have a DRS control button on the steering wheel. In track mode, it'll actively give you less drag by lowering the incline of attack that you have on one of the levels of the spoiler to flatten out, in essence, letting air fly over, above, and below much faster and cleaner. When you increase the downforce, you have a different rate of airflow on the top and bottom, and that's what creates the suction effect, pulling you down, similar to like underbody aero, where in the corners it'll be raised up to give more rear end stability to the vehicle. The more downforce you have, the faster you can corner. It takes what F1 is and puts it onto a street car, because F1 cars could not be taking those corners as fast as they do if downforce didn't make it possible. Having an exponential increase in pressure pushing down on a car, it allows tires to stay in grip with the pavement to take speeds through corners that would be possible at slower speeds. The faster you go, the faster you can corner thanks to downforce. The active systems don't only exist for the rear end of the car, also for the front end. On the front diffuser, they have active flaps adjusting the downforce. They even have a hood snorkel effect S-duct design that uses the front air pressure and channels it over the hood of the vehicle and through it. It's fascinating stuff, including these wishbones on either side of the S-duct. All of these weird looking design cues on the car that people might see at a gas station, they're all designed purposely to put pressure down on the front end or the rear end of the vehicle. Not only that, they're trying to maximize relieving lift, trying to reduce the front end lift you would get at higher speeds. The more lift you have that raises up with air, the more the suspension contact with gravity tends to move upwards. You don't want that. You don't want that. Taking corners fast is all about weight distribution. For the corners, when you brake really hard, having all that weight go forward, you feel the weight transfer, right? That gives a bigger contact patch to your front tires, making you have more mechanical grip and more pressure to control the inertia of the vehicle to rotate into a corner. By having downforce and controlling lift, you can effectively increase the contact patch on your tires for the front and back of the car, giving you more all-around grip at all times. This makes you able to corner faster. This is why I'm so fascinated with this new era of race cars for the road. Downforce is something that I've always really wanted to see on street cars. Yes, we've had a little bit of downforce on majority of production supercars. It's never been something that they've committed towards. It's always been about building a balance between street feel, what you would expect out of a street car, and then track capability. Porsche and Ford are like, no, we're going to give you a race car for the road. Something that you can drive to the track and not be homologated and limited to the same extent as we are in our racing series. So let's take technology from our racing department and give them all to you. It'll be experimental and it'll be the best of the best that we can offer. That is a mindset from these manufacturers. I love it. I love it. We're actually getting race cars for the road now. I'm such a big fan of this Porsche because the 4-liter flat 6, all natural aspirated, revving to 9,000 RPM, giving you 518 horsepower. It's a beautiful engine. The whole car is all about giving you a driver's experience that amplifies feedback. I think the team does a great job. It's funny because talking about downforce once more, that is also why you see the massive air exit points on the front fenders. Even the suspension has built-in aerodynamic fins to give it downforce, similar to F1. That's right, the double wishbone suspension up front has baked-in downforce. It's unreal. The fenders are carbon fiber, the hood can be carbon fiber, the doors can be carbon fiber, the roof. A lot of these components are carbon fiber or carbon fiber reinforced plastic for this GT3 RS. Now, let's compare this to the Mustang GTD. Well, you have carbon fiber body panels on the Mustang GTD, except for a carbon fiber roof line, because it's the same body in white chassis from the Michigan assembly plant in Dearborn. You don't have carbon fiber doors, but the trunk is carbon fiber, the hood is carbon fiber. They put a ton of carbon fiber on the vehicle to save weight. Also, when it comes to the power output, you do have almost 300 more horsepower with this Mustang. That'll make it accelerate probably much faster than the 3,260-pound, 518 horsepower Porsche. The biggest differences we're going to find with these vehicles, I think, stem from the chassis. On one end of the spectrum, you have the greatest 911 chassis they've made so far, the 992 platform. On the other end of the spectrum, the Mustang platform chassis. It is the same chassis, I believe, as every other Mustang out there, like the Dark Horse or Mustang GT. They're sending that body in white to the factory at Multimatic in Canada to get everything installed on. Two completely different chassis and two completely different weight distributions. For the Porsche, you have a 40 to 60% weight distribution, 40% up front, 60% out back, being rear engine. And then the Mustang is the opposite. It's a front engine vehicle with a 50-50 weight distribution thanks to the transaxle dual clutch 8-speed transmission right in front of the rear wheels. So they're able to get a perfect balance of front to back where you're sitting in the middle, whereas the Porsche, you got to drive it like a rear engine vehicle. That gives both advantages and disadvantages to either car. The Porsche will have probably better launching because there's more resting mass towards the back and you can drive it like a rear engine vehicle, always on power, keeping that back end grip and rotating it in fast and hard for the corners. The Mustang will be more, I think, gradual and dynamically pleasing to drift around because you know exactly where the weight is at all times because the weight is perfectly distributed front and back. It looks like the Mustang again has way more power, it'll accelerate faster, but the Porsche might be lighter. Ford has not claimed a curb weight yet. I did ask the team, they said that has not been announced. Usually when weight's not announced, we probably hear it closer to when they do the first drives, or we just have to wait till we weigh the thing. We always weigh our cars on the channel. Other than power, the chassis and the weight being the differentiating factors that will play into effect for lap times, we also have one final factor. It's the downforce. We don't know how much downforce this vehicle accumulates. We know that the GT3 RS, the 992 brand new one, can hit almost 1,900 pounds of downforce at 177 miles an hour. What does this Mustang pull? It's got that massive rear spoiler and the clean air up high. That'll give you more downforce because the air is not being obstructed by the roof line. We do know it's got a lowering suspension system that will get the car closer to the ground, giving you more underbody suction, giving you more downforce that way too. The question is, what is the number? The more downforce you have, the faster you can really corner if you can use it. I think that's everything. Oh, one final thing, the fifth thing I do want to mention that will play into effect for lap times are the tires. The tires. Both the GT3 RS and the new GTD Mustang use Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2Rs. These are the ultimate Michelin hot lap tires you can possibly buy. And I say hot lap because they will be the fastest no matter what on their first couple laps. And these times they will give you will be faster than really any other tire you can put on a street car. It makes sense why they put them on these cars because it gives the fastest lap times. The faster you go, having stickier tires, that means you have softer tires at times. You will probably go through them pretty fast going towards the limit, but the Mustang has 325 wide tires up front and 345s out back. It's insane, absolutely insane, because 325 is wider than a GT500 carbon fiber track pack up front. Up front! Do you know how much braking, deceleration you're going to get? How much control in that front end? With a 50-50 weight balance? That's the widest tire I've ever really seen on the front end of a supercar. For the rear end, you have 345s. Same width as my Z06 Corvette, which uses all the power of the 670 horsepower flat plane crank engine. Now imagine having that out back with an 800 horsepower Mustang, but with 325s up front. It seems like you won't get any understeer maybe at all? I don't know. These tires are much wider than the Porsche. The Porsche has 275s up front and I believe 335s out back, somewhere around there. It's wider, front and back. It just seems like these two cars are made for each other. It's like Porsche and Ford were in cahoots together to make these two cars to go against each other. Because they're just similar in every way. You even have the controlling modules inside the cabin of the Ford where you can change settings dynamically to adjust to your driving preferences. You find this with the GT3 RS where one driver can change all the braking and suspension settings from the steering wheel to their liking for each track. The compression, I believe you can do tons of changing of the suspension drivetrain calibrations for each vehicle. That they are basically your own track tool to develop out for each racetrack that you go to optimize lap times. It's fascinating. Again, more race car tech put into a street car to make you a faster driver. In summary, based off all the engineering details I explained in this video of the 992 GT3 RS versus the Mustang GTD, let me know, what are your thoughts? Which one is going to be the better bang for your buck? The starting price, $240,000 GT3 RS, or the Mustang GTD Supercar that starts at $300,000. If you think this new Mustang GTD Supercar will be faster, I want to throw one last curveball at you. Will it compete with the GT2 RS, given this Mustang has 800 horsepower? How much will this new GT2 RS have? 800, if not more? I can't wait to find out. I love driving the last gen GT2 RS with 700 horsepower. It was insane. This new one, oh my gosh, with new aero too, more power, I can't wait. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe. While you do that, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video. Smash the like button. I'll see all of you in the next video.